figures are all hallucinations induced by oxygen deprivation. But these visions are only a small part of the near-death experience. What science cannot explain away are the physical and spiritual transformations that occur after an NDE. They claim to have walked through the invisible door between this world and the next and have glimpsed life after death. But before they take the final irretrievable step into oblivion, they are pulled back for a purpose, and then transformed by what is called the near-death experience.
Before I had the near-death experience, I was not a good person at all.
I was fearful, materialistic.
I was a high-pressure guy after a lot of bucks.
I was just lost. I was totally depressed, totally sick, couldn't put one foot in front of the other.
Sandy Green fell into a deep depression after her husband of 26 years asked for a divorce. Shortly after, she was diagnosed with cancer. It was during radiation treatment that she had her NDE.
My angels took me out into the white light. It just pulsated with the brightest light, and it was love. It was pulsating love. The nice thing I remember is there was no pain. I received the energies and the knowledge and the help to learn how to become well if I wanted to go back and learn how to save my life and then teach others how to do it. I would have a loving life again. And boy, is that powerful for a person like me who lost everything.
Sandy was transformed emotionally and physically. Working with Orlando's Getting Well program, she beat her cancer.
Anger stops my creativity. It actually increases my tumor markers.
Her physician, Dr. Peter Goulden, has charted Sandy's remarkable recovery.
When we see that happen, we try to pin that down by something we've done as the profession. Was it that radiation that we gave? How about the chemotherapy, etc.? And a lot of times we don't have an adequate explanation for why things got better. So, who knows?
Sandy has returned to her nursing career with a new mission. She is the founder of Hope and Recovery, a program which provides home care for cancer patients.
I try to sell them on the adventure, because mine has been an adventure, not the trials and tribulations of cancer, but my adventure. Hope is believing that anything is possible.
Hope was not a word in Angie Fennemore's vocabulary when she had her NDE after a failed suicide attempt.
I really had some feelings of self-doubt, thought I was a bad mother and a bad wife, and I decided I was just going to end my life, that I had no other choice.
Angie took an overdose of pills and slit her wrists to end the pain, but there was no comfort in death.
I started looking around for a tunnel of light like I'd, heard about, and there was nothing there except for darkness. And I heard the words, "Is this what you really want?" And in the time that it took for me to hear those words, this being of light approached me. I was filled with truths and with pure knowledge, pure understanding of how life works. And I was told that it's the little things that we do that lead to good and light in the world. After my near-death experience, I could see clearly how I had created the problems in my life and quite easily how they could be avoided.
For Angie, the experience revealed one supreme truth that transformed her life: the overwhelming power of love.
Not love in the usual personal sense, but a kind of universal love. It's easy to understand why people speak in this way, though, because it's exactly that they feel filled with during their NDE, and they can't help radiating it afterward. But that's it. It's love.
It was just that love and serenity, just I can't put it in words what it was like, but it was beautiful.
Dee Wagner was a heroin addict and an unfit mother, according to the court that took her daughter away. But then Dee had an NDE.
Before her near-death experience, my mom had no respect for herself. She was into her partying and her drugs and her dealing, and it was more like I was the parent in our relationship. I always took care of my mom. After my mom's near-death experience, she turned into a person that's loving and caring and has respect for people and herself.
I have a relationship with Tanya again, and It's a pretty good relationship. People that know me say that I'm different as night and day, made a 180-degree turnaround. And I'm not afraid to die, that's for sure, because I got to get a glimpse of where I would be going. And I'm glad I have a second chance, because when I do go, I'll be going clean and sober.
Sandy, Angie, and Dee continue to spread their message of universal love. They believe that everyone is capable of personal transformations. Without having visions by very young children take on greater significance. Their visions have not been polluted by the media, and what they are seeing is extraordinary.
She was lifeless. There was no life in the child whatsoever.
When Ricky first presented to the emergency department, I was almost sure that she would not survive.
I ran through the hall, and I knew something was wrong, and I found her floating face down in the pool.
My mom pulled her out, and she screamed for help, and there was nothing my sister and I could do.
It was such a difficult call because the parents of the child were very good friends.
October 21st, 1984. They only took their eyes off her for a second, but that was long enough for tragedy to strike the Enriquez family of Barstow, California. A poolside accident left 2-year-old Ricky paralyzed and in a deep coma. While her family prayed for a miracle, Ricky believes she briefly entered a world where miracles do happen.
I looked behind me and I saw a guardian angel, and she had flowing golden color hair, and she was wearing a white dress. She grabbed my hand and we started to walk down the tunnel. When we got toward the end, she asked me if I wanted to go through the light with her or if I wanted to go back. And I told her that I had to go back and tell my mom where I was going. And so I remember her walking me back and telling me not to be afraid.
Soon after, Ricky opened her eyes and began to recover. Doctors did not know why, but Ricky did, and she told her mother about it.
It was approximately a month after she had come home from the hospital, and I had taken her shopping with me. We went into a bookstore, and maybe 5 minutes into shopping, she grabbed my hand and squeezed and started screaming and yelling in the store, "Mama, Mama, that's my angel." And I didn't know what she was talking about. I looked around, and there was a poster on the wall, and it was of a guardian angel.
Visions of angels are as real as any other human experience.
Dr. Melvin Morse is a critical care physician, author, and a leading authority on near-death experience in children.
My scientific studies on near-death experiences clearly document that near-death experiences are, in fact, the dying experience.
Dr. Morse believes that through the near-death experiences of children, we can preview the afterlife.
Children experience a spiritual light the great majority of the time during near-death experiences. And this is a loving, comforting light. It's not just some sort of reflex spasm of the optic nerve or the, dysfunctional firing of neurons in their occipital lobe. It's a light that one child said to me has a lot of good things in it.
It was a really fluorescent colored tunnel. It had really bright colored bricks around it, and it had a really almost blinding light at the end.
While Dr. Morse believes that Ricky Enriquez had a vision of death, author Joan Wester Anderson has a different interpretation. She believes Ricky had what is known as a celestial vision of her guardian angel.
Angels appear to children, I think, because children are so open to the spiritual realm. In near-death experiences with children, about 70% of those involve the sighting of an angel, which is kind of interesting because adults only report 15 or 20%.
Anderson points out that the word angel comes from the Greek, meaning messenger.
The message that they get from these kinds of encounters is that their ordinary lives are filled with purpose and meaning. Typically, a child will say to me, "Gosh, I learned that I have a job to do."
When this first happened, we never went to church much. She had no knowledge of angels, really didn't know anything about it. Since this, she likes to spread the word that the angels are out there and it's okay.
I think that it happened so I could tell other people not to be afraid of dying.
Renowned medium and your connection.